They are really going there. This is gonna be a short video. I was just kind of kicking back around the idea about making a video about WandaVision in general. You know, I'm kind of a little late to the party, I guess, in terms of like making videos and whatnot. So I was like, before I watched this episode, I was like, I don't know, I'm not gonna make a video. After I watched this week's episode, I have to. So no fancy intro, no nothing. Let's just get right into it. If you have not seen WandaVision episode 5, I highly recommend you turn this off now and go watch this week's episode, because this is a full spoiler review. So there you go. So let's just kind of get to the basic points. You know, the twins, they're kind of getting older now, like all of a sudden rapid growing anytime they run into a problem, you know, like starting off with the dog, and it's like, okay, you can't have a dog until you're 10 years old or whatever. And then all of a sudden we see them grow rapidly. Kind of crazy, you know, that they're kind of showing off what these twins can do. Questions that come to mind are these twins going to be a big part of the MCU moving forward? There was a lot of speculation as to whether or not the things that were actually happening within Westview were actually real, and it got confirmed this week that they are real. This isn't an alternate reality. This isn't an alternate thing. Everything that happens inside of this tear, I guess, is real. It is all happening. Which means a few things got confirmed. We thought that, you know, whenever we saw like the zombie-looking Vision, we thought, oh, like she's just carrying a corpse around. But as it was shown, she broke into S.H.I.E.L.D., she took him, and then she rezzed him. She resurrected him. She brought him back to life somehow, some way. It's alluded to in this episode that she could have taken on Thanos had he not, you know, went full force in the previous movies, which is true. She totally could have killed Thanos, I believe. There are 3 people I do think that could have killed Thanos. Captain Marvel could have killed Thanos, Thor could have killed Thanos, and also Scarlet Witch could have killed Thanos as well. So it's kind of interesting to hear them kind of like talking about all the things that did happen or that could have happened, and seeing all these things coming to light. And it really just brings one key point to mind, in that Wanda really is that powerful. She is super duper strong. I just thought it was kind of interesting. I like how they played with different themes throughout the entire episode about death and moving on. And really, you know, she's trying to mentor her boys and raise her boys and kind of let them know, like, hey, like, you can't just change things whenever things don't go your way. But we as the audience are watching these things happen. And while within the sitcom reality world, that would have been like a really triumphant and like glorious, like happy ending. Be like, oh, you know, you'll have to learn from your mistakes and learn, like, life isn't going to be kind to you. So you're just gonna have to get over it. Yet we're watching Wanda, you know, perform these various things happening within this, you know, TV universe that she's basically created of how she wants things to go. It's just kind of like hypocritical, and it's painfully obvious to us of not only her story, but also the fake TV show that she's provided for us, that she is a hypocrite. It becomes plainly obvious that she is a hypocrite. But you kind of feel bad for Wanda. Like, she's losing her mind. She's lied to herself in thinking that she doesn't have this town under control, whenever in fact she does. All the while in this episode, Vision's like kind of coming to and like kind of realizing something isn't quite right here. Of course, we kind of got hints of that earlier on in the show, you know, but now, since they pulled back the curtain in episode 4, more of those things are happening. Vision is we're kind of coming to realize that Vision is now an amnesiac of sorts, since he's been brought back to life, and he may or may not have knowledge of things that happened in the Avengers movies, which is kind of crazy to think about. He remembers his powers, and he evidently remembers that he needs to keep his powers a secret, but as of right now, we have no confirmation that he remembers anything that happened in these previous movies. It's kind of crazy to think about. It kind of makes you think about their relationship and like what's going to happen moving forward. I love how this show just keeps us in a constant state of awe each week, and a constant state of, wow, what is going to happen next? I gotta give props to Marvel for basically proving us all wrong. There's a lot of chattering around the past 6 months, you know, about what WandaVision was gonna be. It's not gonna land. It's not gonna be good. You know, it's not gonna be great, whatever. Yet here we are, and it's one of the hottest topics on the internet. It kind of did the Mandalorian thing, where I really wanted to talk about it each week. You know, I've wanted to talk about it and like theorize on it. I've seen lots of videos online about, you know, going heavily into the House of M storyline, which they are pulling from in this. Have to remember, there were things about the Infinity War that they didn't follow exactly to a T, so we shouldn't get our hopes up about, you know, seeing anything that's directly correlated, you know, in terms of villains from the House of M, and, you know, even Scarlet Witch villains and stuff like that. We may not really get to see a ton of those. I wouldn't count on that. But one thing we can count on is the fact that that Quicksilver is in fact back. But not just the Quicksilver that we know from the MCU that died back in Age of Ultron. No, not that guy. They got Quicksilver from the Fox Marvel Universe, from the X-Men, which brings all kinds of things to mind. Like, first of all, that means we're at least definitely getting characters from the X-Men movies that have been left over from Fox. They are being brought over into the MCU. And evidently, at least in some way, shape, or form, they've already shown that they're going to probably be doing that, which it makes a lot of sense. But it also brings up a lot of questions. Like, are we going to see Magneto? Is he going to show up? I mean, how far does this go? It would be kind of dumb. I feel like it would be kind of anticlimactic and dumb to bring back such a beloved character from, the X-Men movies, or at least Days of Future Past, which, it's funny that we just podcasted about this a couple days ago, and here we are, here I am talking about it now. It was said on that podcast that he was probably like one of the best parts of the movie and had the best scene, and really, he kind of gained a huge following. So whenever the other guy showed up in Age of Ultron, it was kind of weird because we had already seen Quicksilver done better in Days of Future Past, and then they killed the Quicksilver in the MCU. So it's funny how it all just kind of works out like that. But here we are now with the Quicksilver that everyone loves from a different universe. There's just all kinds of questions that come to mind. How is this going to play into the multiverse of madness? Because it seems like that could be something that gets incorporated. What is going to be his role moving forward? What is he going to do? He evidently recognizes her. Like, how are they going to set Quicksilver's story, his backstory up with Wanda's? I don't know how they're going to do that, because in the X-Men movies, we saw, Scarlet Witch got what they were alluding to as Scarlet Witch, like, she died in Apocalypse, in Age of Apocalypse. So I don't know how that's going to work. So that'll be interesting. And also, the last question is just, what are they going to do with this show moving forward? I mean, what is the story they are trying to tell? My prediction is that they're really trying to just set up the next the next phase of the MCU, truly, is what this feels like. And it also kind of makes me think that they're going to have big moments scattered within these TV shows, kind of like this, with the Loki show and, the Winter Soldier show and Falcon show. I feel like they're going to have a lot of things kind of sprinkled in to give us glimpses of where these movies are going. And for anyone who thinks that, this was a gimmick, or it was dumb, or, there wasn't more story left to tell, you evidently don't know how comic books work, because they just keep going, and there's so many different offshoots, and there's so many different stories to be told. And it's crazy to think that they can take a story like what we're seeing right here and pull from a bunch of different, areas of lore, of Marvel lore, and give us a really, really dope story. One last thing that I want to mention is that kind of took me by surprise and kind of creeped me out a little bit is whenever Quicksilver shows up and then there's applause in the audience, and I was like hooping and hollering in my front room, as I was watching it, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, it kind of took me, like, it kind of took me back a little bit. I was like, that was weird. Did they know that I was gonna cheer because they know, because they know that people cheer in the movie theaters, like whenever something awesome would happen, or, I mean, if that was done on purpose to make us, feel a certain way or feel kind of creeped out, it totally worked. Totally goes along with the vibe of the show, and that was kind of just the last thing I wanted to mention. I think that's all I have to say about episode 5, but man, what a wild ride WandaVision has been so far. I think I'm going to be doing these weekly recaps, as the show continues to run. And, man, I'm just really excited to see where it's going. I can't wait to see more Quicksilver. Hopefully, let's keep our fingers crossed for Magneto. It would be amazing if Ian McKellen showed up to be Magneto, you know what I mean? But I would take Michael Fassbender for sure for him to show up as Magneto. That'd be pretty rad. But that's assuming that we get Magneto at all. I'm not 100% sold that that's actually going to happen. But man, think of all the possibilities. I feel like if there was anything that could bring Hugh Jackman back as well, and make him reprise his role, even for just a cameo. Like, I feel like this next phase of the MCU could potentially be that thing to happen. Especially since we've seen him in his own universe doing his own thing that could kind of play into the whole multiverse aspect. And if they're trying to set up the multiverse with Doctor Strange and, kind of play into that aspect more with the Eternals movie and things like that, it really feels like sky's the limit, and it's a really, really good time to be a Marvel fan. So there you have it. That's my spoiler review of this week's WandaVision. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. I would definitely love to get your input and hear what you think. But either way, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. Before I go, check this out. Whatever possessed you to check out the podcast or the YouTube channel today, I just want to say thank you so much for doing so. If this is your first time here, I would appreciate it, if you would consider subscribing. As you can tell, it's not just me here anymore. I mean, I do stuff by myself, but the podcast is going to reside here from now on, in video form. So if you want to see more content, if you want to be notified, every time we post something, whether it be a clip, a podcast, a review, an interview, whatever it may be, if it's gaming stuff, make sure you click that bell and hit the subscribe button, and we will see you next time. Thanks for sticking around, and thank you for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. I'm Gabriel Fast. I will always be the wannabe critic.